All right. Welcome back. Welcome to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Sorry, I had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we are here. We are ready. And guess what, guys? It's Friday. It's the end of the week. Hope you guys are super excited for your weekend. I know I am, although I only have a Sunday off. I work, Saturday, which is, kind of sad, but ultimately, it's cool. Get to come home, hang out with the kids, maybe play a couple board games. I don't know why, but they're really like, obsessed with this game called like Sorry. I don't know if any of you guys played Sorry, and usually we try to play Uno as well, but Uno gets a little dicey. And if you have kids and stuff like that who are very, very competitive, it gets it can get dark real quick. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have our WWE Smackdown preview. We also have our Thursday night wrestling review. We have WWE my top 10 finishers that I think are totally badass and that are like untouchable. When some people performs the move other than a person who kind of made it like, monumental, it kind of looks a little weird. So we're going to talk about that. Our fourth segment, we're going to dive into how, the downfall of TNA, how exactly did they kind of wind up, because they were doing really well in the early 2000s. They were doing really, really well. Obviously, you had the departure of a lot of superstars like like Sting, Kurt Angle, and you had just other people trying to look up to like greater, like greener pasture and stuff like that. Like you can't really blame them for that. So we're gonna get into that. And fifth and finally, I always do this every Wednesday. I go through my wrestling news roundup where I give you some wrestling news that, like, hey, if you walk into a bar and if you run into a wrestling fan, you can be like, hey man, I remember hearing this from that weird guy on the wrestling podcast. So yeah. But just before we move on to that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMC podcast.net. Shoot me your question, give me your statements, give me your opinions, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Um, it really does help the show, guys. A little bit of peace, love, and positivity here at the GSMC Sports Network does the body good. So make sure you kind of, I urge you guys to, hit the donations link. Just tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you want to talk about. Obviously this show is a lot better with a little bit of fan interaction. Overall, this is our podcast. Once again, it really does help the show, and the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So yeah, all right, let's go ahead and get right into this. We have our WWE Smackdown preview, and I know that kind of started a little late here, so I promise I will not take too much of your guys' time here, although I do love to rabble on and on and on. Cody Rhodes is out there looking for a fight. Cody Rhodes was betrayed by AJ Styles. AJ Styles came out, he did the Mark Henry, the whole retirement speech, and I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty badass. I kind of liked how WWE did that, because at first you kind of had the fans building up from last week. You had AJ Styles talking to Nick Aldis. He was like, look, dude, I feel like I cannot start from the bottom again. So I think it's better if I just kind of hang up my boots. And because of the speculation, and because WWE kind of knew how to manipulate the wrestling news kind of market, because around you would see on Ringside News, you would see on PW Insider, Inside the Ropes, you would see articles talking about AJ Styles' contract ending up and where he's going to ultimately end up. And it was no surprise. It was no surprise. I knew he was going to stay within WWE. WWE, I felt like they could not let AJ Styles go. That would have been a huge mistake, especially with Tony Khan out there flirting with superstars like Ricochet, Chad Gable, Becky Lynch. So it was important for Paul Levesque to lock down a great superstar, a legend in the professional wrestling industry. He touched on New Japan Professional Wrestling. He was also on TNA Impact. AJ Styles is definitely one of the best Universal International Continental champions that has ever, touched surface within WWE soil. So, choosing to give him another title shot. The way the match is going to end, I'm not too sure. At this point, you've kind of had Cody Rhodes lose. No, not Cody Rhodes. You kind of had AJ Styles lose a bunch of times to the point where I'm like, you know what? It'd be it'd be surreal. It'd be surreal to see him hold up that WWE championship. But like I said before, this is wrestling. So, shocks, twists, and turns are expected. I can imagine like this is probably where, and I know that I'm probably, I'm not trying to speculate something crazy here. But I honestly feel like this is probably where Uncle Howdy makes his this is where he makes his debut. He makes his debut. He ultimately cost Cody, no, not Cody. He ultimately cost AJ Styles a chance at the WWE Championship. And it just makes sense because I feel like if AJ Styles loses again against Cody Rhodes cleanly, it's just, I don't know, it just kind of demeans his character. There needs to be some kind of outside interference in this for the storyline to, kind of work here, kind of work. So I think, you have Uncle Howdy coming in. He needs to make a debut. He was talking about a prodigal son. It's just crazy how, like, if he would jump against the American Nightmare, the WWE champion, so soon in his, recent, stint with WWE. So it should be interesting to kind of see how that, unfolds. Next, we have Solo Sikoa officially anoints Tonga into the bloodline. This kind of has Randy Orton and Kevin Owens' name written all over it. I feel like this is going to be interrupted. I feel like they're going to fight. I think it's going to maybe set up a tag team match, but there's been speculation that Randy Orton will fight Gunther in a rematch for the King of the Ring, rights to wear the crown and also challenge for the respected brand's top title. So I don't know. It should be crazy. It should be crazy. Solo Sikoa, I think has a lot to prove right now. He obviously really does. As of right now, I feel like he really doesn't have a leg to kind of stand on in terms of being the tribal chief. I think Solo Sikoa needs a lot of work. WWE needs to do something to kind of ultimately put him over. That's kind of why they're holding on Jacob Fatu because they do not want to outshine Solo Sikoa. And it's all fair because Solo, he hasn't really been that impressive outside of the bloodline. So there's got to be something big that happens within these next couple of weeks before WWE SummerSlam. You can count on this to probably be one of the monumental moments in building up to the potential of the bloodline storyline. I read speculations that Roman Reigns was anticipating on coming back in August, SummerSlam, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem well placed. If anything, it kind of seems forced. I feel like Roman Reigns returning in SummerSlam is a little bit too soon, but of course, that's my opinion. Um, if he comes back, it's great. It's great for the bloodline. It's great for WWE. But he's been a champion for so long. He's one of the longest reigning champions in WWE/WWF history. I just I don't understand why they would bring back Roman so quick. But like I said, that's totally my opinion, 110%. So yeah, let's kind of move on here. We have Jade Cargill goes one-on-one with Indy Hartwell, holding on to that exclusive kind of rivalry that Candice LeRae took out Bianca Belair's knee, costing Bianca Belair ultimately her chance at being the WWE Queen of the Ring. And now you have Indy Hartwell. Last week on WWE Smackdown, you kind of saw these girls get into like a little bit of a confrontation, which I think was great for Indy Hartwell because I feel like her booking with WWE after she left WWE NXT should be a lot better. So Indy Hartwell, I feel like is going to put on a pretty good match. I feel like it's going to be one of those matches where she's going to lose. She's going to lose, but she's also going to kind of prove her point that she is worthy on being on the WWE main roster. And she is worthy of fighting someone at the caliber of Jade Cargill. Obviously, Jade Cargill coming from AEW, she's the longest reigning TBS champion. So, she has I don't even think Jade is so clear off the spectrum here. I still feel like she has a little bit to prove. A lot of people they're kind of hung up on the aspect of her, coming into the WWE Women's Royal Rumble in 2024 and eliminating like Nia Jax and she eliminated somebody else that was like a big deal. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, no way, that's crazy." But I don't know. I just feel like for Jade to work out correctively and the way that her and Bianca are acting as WWE World Women's Tag Team, they put on good matches. They put on good matches, and they also help the other competitors kind of get over within the crowd, within the wrestling, kind of bird's eye view. So I know I was a huge hater on this. I really honestly doubted Belair and Cargile's, capabilities of being like a formidable tag team because they're just two dominant single superstars that should be fighting for number one contendership within their own respective main event singles division. But so far it's been good. So far it's been good. So like, I feel like WWE is doing decent with this. It's going to be interesting if, Candice LeRae, interferes or, she could possibly drive a wedge between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, so to a point where they, once again, I'm kind of hoping on that once in the WWE, as the shows progress to WWE SummerSlam in August, we still have about 2 clear months where you could have this wedge. You could have this wedge. You can have this miscommunication, this envy. Your standard WWE storyline, like where Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair end up, kind of just getting in each other's way, kind of, trying to be better than one another when they're tag team champions, but I ultimately feel like it would be awesome to kind of see these two superstars kind of go at it. And if you let Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell have the World Tag Team titles, I just feel like it would be better for the women's division. And I know, you guys hear this, you guys kind of hear me saying this over and over again. And you're like, okay, Eric, you're acting like a broken record here once again. You apologized a couple of podcasts ago from, letting Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill know that, you guys don't belong in the women's division, and you guys are doing a good job. And then now you're saying, hey, like let's take the titles from them. And it's not. I don't know. It's not so like dichotomous as some people might think, but I would honestly love, in my opinion, I would love to see Bianca Belair finally go heel. I think she kind of flirted with being a heel about maybe like 6 to 8 months ago. Of course, when you had Montez Ford joining Bobby Lashley of with the Street Profits as well, and they kind of had them come out a little cocky and stuff like that. It's not that they're a heel, but they're ultimately kind of out there to kind of get their own. They've been nice this whole entire time. They've been trying to follow the rules, but to kind of establish a title reign in WWE, sometimes you have to kind of bend the rules a little bit. So I don't know. It would be so shocking, to see Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, kind of fight. I feel like Jade is a little more over with the crowd right now instead of Bianca Belair. That could possibly kind of hint at a, kind of like a stand or a stance that they could probably WWE creative can kind of feed off of, and be like, oh, Bianca's jealous of Jade, or Bianca, she's kind of disgruntled with how the WWE universe has accepted this AEW foreign star so quick. So there's an unlimited amount of ways that I feel like WWE can kind of go about this. But ultimately, I feel like it'd be awesome to kind of see these two girls fight each other because these two girls are absolutely physical specimens. A match between these two kind of reminds me of like, comparing it to the men's division, kind of reminds me of like a The Rock and a Triple H and stuff like that. You have these two heavyweights, these two super colliders going at it. It's going to make an explosion of entertainment within the wrestling world. You watch. It's going to be badass. Next, we see Apollo Crews battle Angel Garza. You saw Angel Garza, try to help his former friend Andrade join the El Legado del Fantasma, but Andrade didn't want any part of it. I love Apollo Crews. He put on a really good match against Andrade last night. He's been featured in the WWE Speed, division, which I'm kind of proud of him. I kind of like that. I've always liked Apollo Crews. I kind of thought it was dumb how he went Nigerian. Not that I'm hating on like that, but like or culture, sentiments or whatever. But he was like, and he was doing this fake accent. I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's fake or not, but like he was just. I feel like when WWE has kind of sense of failure, they do everything they can, and they throw like dimes and pennies at this idea that they want to make work so bad. But from the get go, it's just a bad idea. Just a bad idea. So you can probably count on more scrutiny with El Legado del Fantasma. Angel Garza might move on to Andrade's side. Who knows? To make a faction of their own. But hey, who knows? Next, we have Johnny Gargano takes on Grayson Waller. Once again, this is going to be just the build up for a DIY and the 8 Town Down Under title match. at Clash at the Castle. I feel like it's going to be great. I feel like DIY is finally going to be a champion after waiting so many gosh darn years. It's been years. Johnny Gargano was called up from the NXT roster. Man, I want to say like 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And he came with Aleister Black. He came with Keith Lee. He came with Andrade. He came with Lars Sullivan, and they didn't do crap about it. WWE division really dropped their creative, really dropped their ball in terms of the NXT division, moving up. So, I would love to see Johnny Gargano kind of get in the face and kind of, I would love to see DIY prosper. It was awesome because when DIY did not prosper, they decided to break them up. They had this feud, which was entertaining for the most part, but ultimately it was a pretty bad idea. So hey guys, do not go anywhere. We're gonna move on into our Thursday night wrestling review. We're gonna dive into the world of Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling. So hey, don't go anywhere.